Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney from Courtney Reads, and today I will be talking about books that I hate. I know that some of you are probably going to be offended by some of the books that I say. I'm sorry if I say that I hate your favorite book. I'm really truly sorry about that. But in my opinion, all these books are crap. And again, that's just my opinion. I actually feel really bad because the authors put so much time into it and you guys might feel really connected to it. But I don't know, man. I just really hated these books. Let's just jump into it. The first book that I think is absolute crap is The Edge of Never. I don't know what it is about this book. This book got a little bit of popularity. I got it for $5, thank God. But it's basically the most stereotypical story of a girl going off on her own, having a hard life, finds a man, and the man saves her because they fall in love, and then he winds up having stuff on his own, but then they end up being together, so it's fine. It's just, listen, none of this stuff would ever actually happen in real life, and if it does happen in real life, you have a very dramatic life, I'm just saying. But it's just so stereotypical and just so aggravating, and the main character is so whiny, and the guy, he's a terrible person. He's awful to her, and he treats her terribly because of stuff that's going on with him, and that's not fair. I don't support unhealthy relationships, and that's all this was. Next. The next book I hate is The Infinite Sea by Rick Yancey. Listen, I loved The Fifth Wave, and honestly, I think a lot of you might actually agree with me on this one. The fact that it just suffers really, really bad from the second book syndrome. It is a lot shorter, and honestly, I think the whole series should have been a duology, but it's a lot shorter and it's never fully developed, and the characters are constantly doing their own thing. The story's arc never ends. It's just a very confusing, long-spun story that the people who he works with probably was like, oh, turn it into a trilogy. Every famous book right now is a trilogy, so that's what we'll do. Should have been 2. Next. The next book I absolutely hate is John Green, Abundance of Catherines. I have read every single John Green book, and I love pretty much all of them, except for this one. This one's like, oh, nerdy boy finds cute girl, what happens next? You know, nothing exciting, nothing cool. Honestly, I couldn't even finish this book because I hated it so much. I got to about there. I was just so sick of it, so over it. It was stupid, it was slow, it was boring. Not a fan. Next. The next book I hate is The Call. This book was all over BookTube for so long, so I picked it up. I was like, hey, it must be good. It's not. It was a very interesting idea, kind of reminded me of something similar to a Hunger Games. Not like the arena, not in that same way. It was very unique, very original, which is awesome. But it was very high-paced, lots of tension, lots of energy, which reminded me of the feeling I got when I read The Hunger Games. However, it was very dark, which I usually am fine handling, but this was very dark, and at times it got so dark that it was kind of hard to follow, and I just really wanted to read something uplifting and light after I read this because it just left me with a terrible feeling, and I just really did not appreciate it, and no. Next. Okay, for this one, I know I'm gonna get, murdered. I can feel the dislikes coming on for this one, but the next book I hate is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. Well, this was all over BookTube 3 years ago, and everyone was obsessed with it, talking about how good it was and everything. I have not finished this book. I have tried to read this, I think, 6 times. Every time I can't finish it because it's just so bad. And what I mean by bad is that the writing's not terrible, which is great because there's a lot of bad writing out there, but it's just so predictable. And I am sick and tired of reading about the same tropes, the same type of characters and romances and everything about it. It's just, I want something new, something original, something exciting. And this was just basically every YA trope shoved into a book. You have the love triangle, the betrayal, you have the classic, I don't know about my abilities, I discovered them, and now I'm, in danger. It's just the same thing over and over and over again, like every other YA series, and it wasn't anything special to me, which is why I never was able to actually finish it or continue on. For instance, if it had, all of those tropes but then one super special quality, I might have read it, but no, it was just everything was predictable, everything was stereotypical, everything has been done before, and I am not pleased. And finally, this last book I hate, I'm actually a little bit scared to admit it because so many people love this book. They love the TV show it's based off of. And there's a lot of controversy around the story in general, so me giving my opinion is kind of scary. But the last book that I just really, really, truly hate is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I appreciate where the story came from and what it was trying to do. I understand everything it was trying to accomplish, its mission, and I respect that, and I respect the author and the people who played the characters and the directors of the show. I completely respect all of them. But it never executed what it was meant to for me. It always kind of glamorized suicide and everything that happens. And I know that that's that's pretty much the basis for the opposing argument for why this story isn't good, but hear me out. What I meant by what it means to glamorize suicide was that in the story, the main character, Hannah, commits suicide and then makes 13 tapes as to her reasons why she committed suicide, and gives the tapes to all of the people on the tapes one by one. And they all have to endure it, and they all have to read it, and they all feel guilty of what they did to her. Which I'm sure, and I know that they did play a part in her suicide, but ultimately it is your choice. The actions of others, they affect you, but they don't firsthand cause you to do something. That is your decision. They didn't make you kill yourself, you did it to yourself. Which is why I have a really hard time with the character Hannah already. But what I mean by glamorizing suicide is that every single time, even myself, like whenever I read the book, whenever I watch the show, the whole point is to want to know what happens next, to want to know who's on the next tape, what did they do to her, what happened. It's all about the drama that the series creates, and not about the fact that a person died and that she's gone. Especially in the show with the fact that the main character, Clay, constantly sees her, and the actress who plays Hannah is a big role in the series. When someone commits suicide, they're gone, they're no longer here, and their story ends. Of course, parts of them will live on forever, they'll be remembered, but they don't get to write anything new, they don't get to be heard by people, they're gone. That was their choice. And with this show and with this story, it almost immortalizes her, and I just am not okay with that. And again, I'll probably make a whole video one day about why I don't like 13 Reasons Why I don't like the show, why I think it glamorizes suicide, why it's so triggering for so many different reasons. I'll definitely make a video about that, but for now, just know that I'm not on board with the story, I'm not on board with the message it portrays, I'm not on board with the main characters. I just don't think it's a good portrayal. I think the only thing the story really did right was showing the aftermath of how much a suicide can hurt people. And the show does an even better job of showing that, especially with the parents. But I thought that was pretty much the best thing about it. Which is great, but I don't know. I just can't be on board with this one. And again, I'm really sorry if you love this story. I mean, like, let me know why you like it. Maybe you can change my mind. But for me, I just really, really don't. I really don't like this book. And that's the end of the video. I'm really, really sorry if I offended anyone. I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to offend the people who wrote it, people who love it. I understand why you might like it, but in my opinion, these books just aren't good, or they're not living up to what they're supposed to be, and I don't know. Just some of them I just can't be on board with, and I hope that you respect that. I feel if you clicked on this video, you knew what you were coming for, you knew that I was going to say some things, I was going to state some of my opinions, and that you might not agree with, so I'm hoping that you came here to listen and not to criticize, but you know, whatever happens, happens. I guess we'll see. Thanks for watching, guys.